All right, ladies. So we're going to talk about this Tree of Life assignment. So this is the website we're going to use. It's called the Tree of Life. So there's a link in that document how to get here. Okay. Now, where we are right now, we're at what's called the base of the tree. Okay, the base of the tree. So where we basically go down to like the last common ancestors of bacteria, eukaryotes, and viruses. So here we are. So here is the two types of bacteria. There are the eukaryotes, and then viruses we're going to ignore because we'll talk about viruses separately because they're quite interesting. But then they don't belong to these three groups. Now, if I was to say to you, let's find humans, okay? What branch would you look at? So imagine this is the base of the tree, and we have three branches. We have archaea, eukaryotes, and eubacteria. What branch would you start to look at to find humans? Right, so you go to eukaryotes, right? Now, eukaryotes then branches off into different groups. Okay, we can recognize some of these groups. Probably most of them we don't recognize, but there's some that we do. Like green plants, animals, fungi. So we could see that, if we look at a particular branch, we see that branch actually branches out into other branches, right? So it's like a tree that has a trunk branches, then the branches branch, and then the branches branch, and you're going to see lots of branches here. So what branch would we be on? Right, we'd be on this branch, okay? So here we are. Now, the animal branch branches out. Now, what do you think, what branch would we be on next? So we have Porifera, Cnidaria. Why? It says most animals, including vertebrates, right? So we go to Bilateria. Now, as we go through this, what you may get is for some of these branches, you may get like a characteristic. You might get a description. And it might tell you, like, what is it to be on that branch? Like, what does it mean to be a bilaterian? When you come across a characteristic, I want you to record one characteristic. Don't write more than one, okay? So, like, for example, what would it mean to be a bilaterian? If there's nothing there, don't worry about it. Just move on to the next page. But what do you think this refers to? Like, what do all of these things have in common? Bilateria. What does it sound like to you? Sounds like something. What does bi mean? They have two sides. So they're symmetrical. So all bilaterians are symmetrical. They have a left and right side. So like, for example, this bird has a left and right side. If I say to you, what's the left side of the bird? You should be able to tell me that. The spider, this slug would have one. This worm would have one. Believe it or not, even the starfish. Now you might be, well, how does something that looks like that have a left and right? I'll show you that later, okay? It does have a left and right side. Now, so when we look at Bilateria, you can see it's got all of these other branches. Where would we be? We'd be here. So we belong, not only are we animals, not only are we bilaterians, but we belong to another group called Deuterosaurs. We are going to go through all of these groups. So don't worry if you're like, what is this? Okay, we're going to go through this. By the way, this group includes things like frogs and starfish, even a type of worm. Yeah. Now, the branches again. And we belong to this group, chordates. So here are some chordates. And then the chordates branch out again. And here are craniates. What do you think a craniate is? Something with a cranium. And the craniates branch off into two groups, and I think we know which one we are. And then the vertebrates break up into groups, including things like lampreys. So I know yesterday you looked at a lamprey. So a lamprey is like us, they're vertebrates, but what they don't have jaws. So we belong to a group called the jawed vertebrates. And by the way, you see these little symbols? These are all things that have gone extinct. So we could see that we're pretty lucky. There are a lot of groups that are close related to us that have gone bye-bye. That's okay. So then, if we look at, because you can still classify them, right? Like dinosaurs are extinct, but we know that they're more closely related to us than the other fish because they're tetrapods, right? They have 4 limbs. So here's a group, the jawed vertebrates, and we can see that there are only, there's 2 groups that are gone, and then we have, these are things like sharks, these are ray fin fish. By the way, you'll notice one thing, fish.
Are we fish or are we?
You could have 2 fish and a human, and one of the fish could be more like a human than it could be like the other fish. And we will talk about that later on in this unit. And you can see here, this fish, this type of fish, is closely related to us. So we belong to this group because what? We are 4-legged vertebrates, right? Now, I did not ask you to figure out how many branches there are, how many branching events, but you can see it's not exactly like a few. It's quite a bit. So now, look, of all of these groups, there's only actually 3 groups that are still around. 4 have gone extinct. So we're obviously terrestrial vertebrates. And then of the terrestrial vertebrates, we're pretty lucky.
The first one.
Because almost all of them are gone except for and the amniotes. Now, if you remember from your inner fish video, the amniotes are the things that have the amniotic egg. So here are the amniotes. And again, you'll notice most of the amniotes have gone extinct. So we are, obviously, which is mammals. So we belong to a group called synapsids.
Wonder which one we are. Last one.
And you can see, again, you should be getting the impression that we're pretty lucky. Because most of the groups that we belong to have gone bye-bye. Okay? So here we are, therapsids. And that includes so we're obviously mammals. And then here are some mammals. Now, the mammals are things like marsupials. These things are the monotremes. And this is just a placental mammal. These are mammals that lay eggs. So these are egg-laying mammals. So we are not monotremes. That's a platypus. We are not marsupials. That would be something like the kangaroo. We are Eutheria, placental mammal. And then here are placental mammals. What was that? So would be what? We're not a rodent, primates. So we're getting closer to humanity now because now we're working our way up the tree. But you can see it's a lot of branches, right? Where? There you go. We belong to this group. And then we belong to this group. And then here we are. And then of all the groups,
we did it!
Finally got there.
We didn't die.
Not yet. Still, they were there. Now, we went up the tree. And the thing is, I know the direction to go because I've done this before. You're going to have a list of organisms and you're going to be like, well, I can't do that because I don't know which way to go, right? So, for example, if I put in the, okay, I'll give you an example, like Odonata. Okay? So imagine I look at a group called Odonata. I'm like, what What's that? Which way do I go? Is that even an animal? What is that? A plant? A fungus? I could go. Well, I could do that. I could Google it. Or I could just do this exercise backwards. So instead of going up the tree, I can go down the tree. Okay, so what you could do is you could do a search for that organism. Now, sometimes it doesn't come up right away, so you get these. You might have to do it a couple of times. So let's see if it comes up. Nope, still didn't come up. Let's see. All right. Let's see why it's not coming up. Let's try an advanced search. All right. Try this again. Okay, came up. All right. You might have to play around with the search engines a little bit, but it should come up. So, what is it? Well, take a look. Oh, dragonfly. So here's the thing. We are now at the top of the tree. I want to know what this belongs to, right? So we know, like, if we go backwards, humans belong to a group called like primates, and you work your way back. And you saw that there were many levels. So here's a dragonfly, and this is the group that it belongs to. So for Odonata, I write down as an example, I can just write dragonfly. Right? I can say dragonfly. Whoops, it's one word. Now, if you want to really impress me, you actually put down the scientific name. That's fine. We'll talk about scientific names next week, okay? But, okay. So then we have the levels. So, dragonflies belong to a group called Pterygota. Now, and by the way, here is some information about Odonata. Okay?
I like the way you pronounce it.
Thank you. So it belongs to this group. So now what I can do is I can click on that group and actually start working my way down the tree. Okay? So if I click on this group, Pterygota, here are some examples of things in this group. So you can see dragonflies would be closely related to things like butterflies. I believe this is a mayfly, which was actually one of the insects in your test cushion.
A moth.
So these guys, and here's Odonata there, belong to Pterygota, and if you work your way further down, belongs to another group, the insects. So you have Odonata, you have Pterygota, and then you have Insecta. So we're working our way down the tree. Yeah. Third from the top. Yeah, third from the top. So here's this group called Insecta. Okay? Now, Insecta would belong to a group called Hexapoda. So Hexapoda includes things like insects, springtails. I've never heard of these other three things, okay? And that's the thing. There's so many things out there that we have no idea about, okay? But I know it belongs to this group. Here's a really nasty looking insect. Yeah. Now, this group, Hexa, by the way, Hexa means what? So I'm going to imagine that these things all have 6 what? Okay. So this group, Hexapoda, belongs to a bit, and by the way, as you go down the tree, the groups get bigger. Right? The groups get bigger. So they belong to a group called the arthropods. So here's the thing. If I click on arthropods, right? Which I thought I did. Try that again. Is it loading? Alright. Okay. Now, how many of you like lobster? I love lobster. How many of you would eat a cockroach? Or a beetle? But you can see, they actually belong to the same group. I know they don't taste it. I know. That's a really dumb example, but I just want to.
Some people actually eat those.
I know. So, arthropods are things that include, butterflies, these really nasty centipedes, spiders, and things that are things like crustaceans. Okay, girls. Okay. So you can see these are your arthropods. Now, arthropods belongs to a group that we saw before, Bilateria. And Bilateria, as we work our way down the tree, belongs to a group called animals. Girls. And animals belongs to a group called the eukaryotes. And now we're back at basically we're back at the base of life, right? Which is here. So what you're going to do, ladies, is you're going to, as we worked our way back, so we had the group Odonata, right? And then you saw that it belonged to another group. I think this is how you... T-E, yeah. Geo. And then that belonged to a group called... No. Was it Insecta? Which belonged to Hexapoda, and so on, arthropod. Well, you're right. So then it was what? Arthropods. Well, no. I'll explain something. So what you're going to do is you're going to figure out, okay, what does this organism belong to, right? What are all the things that it belongs to? Now, you're going to give me a characteristic. If there is none, don't worry about it. But if there is one, worry about it. Just give me one thing. So, like, for example, if this group Odonata has a characteristic, just give me one. What does it mean to be in that group? It's on the website. Yeah, it'll say key characteristic. So when you click on, for example, eukaryotes, right? If you scroll down, it probably should tell you something about what it means to be a eukaryote. Okay? So your job then is to give me just one characteristic. Just one. Now, here's the thing. When you go through your 20 organisms, I'm not a believer in repetition. So when you go through your 20 organisms, I want to see the name of the group, I want to see an example, I want to see the levels it belongs to, and I want to see the characteristics. If you have organisms that belong to the same levels, I don't want you repeating the characteristic yet. I already know. If you said that, for example, Arthropoda has this key characteristic, and something else belongs to Arthropoda, you don't need to repeat it. You already said it once. You can just say see above, or just leave it blank. Okay? I just want you, for each level that comes up once, at least just have one characteristic for it. What we're going to do, and we'll talk about this next week, is once we have all this data, we're going to make a big tree. We're going to organize it. You're going to start, I would start with the search engine and work your way down. Okay? And, but we'll talk about what you're going to do with that. You're going to have to, we're going to do like a cutout of the animal. We're going to paste it on paper and we're going to have our own tree. Okay? Okay? So, but why don't you guys start collecting the data, and then on Monday, so tomorrow I'm going to give you the whole period to work on this. Okay? The whole period. No, but Monday I will explain to you what to do. Okay, so it's not due Monday. It's due on the 13th. You're going to hand it in to me. We're going to post it on the walls. Okay, let me actually end this now. The end.